This is Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We enthuse, we energize, we inspire, and we empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes in BW and beyond. Hello and welcome yet again to another great, powerful, exciting, energizing episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We always bring you life-changing business information through the agency of entrepreneurs of all stripes, as we say. And today I have one such an entrepreneur who will introduce himself. We're going to talk about television, Motv, and your name, sir. Introduce yourself to the viewer.
Name Kutlwano Mothibi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell them a little bit about your background in terms of education and how you wound up here.
Okay, I don't know where to start. I start from primary, high school.
At least tertiary. Yeah.
Well, tertiary is a bit funny because I graduated magna cum laude in nothing at the University of Stellenbosch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't really have anything on paper. 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually it means I didn't graduate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, non-cum laude.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
You dropped out.
No, I didn't. Actually, what I was doing at the time, I was actually studying a BA in language and culture, right? But I was mainly doing it because obviously it's an easier course. I was doing sports at the time, so my focus wasn't academic. I was more focused on sports.
What aspect of sports?
I was doing gymnastics, representing Botswana a while back, back in yesteryear. And that was the motivation for taking such an easy course. But eventually, when the sort of the sporting career fizzled out, I just didn't see any point of going into.
What course did you fizzle out?
Sports politics, I would say. Yeah, there's a lot of politics in sports that doesn't really belong there. Yeah, I think that's what made me eventually just retire early.
Yeah. What year did you quit from Stellenbosch and what did you then do?
It was in 2007. When I quit the gymnastics thing, I actually went to go and work for Lufthansa, which is a German airline. Yes, up in Cape Town, because I was schooling in Stellenbosch. And then I got a job at Lufthansa. From there, I was doing global load control, basically the weight and balance of an airplane when it takes off, safety, that kind of stuff. Because you don't just load it, you have to load it in a specific way. The weight needs to balance on all fronts. So even the weight as well needs to be calculated because there's a certain maximum load that an airplane can take.
How do you get the training for that?
We were trained by Lufthansa.
Oh, what does it entail, the training?
Well, it's basically, everything is because you see, that's the difference between the rest of the world and us. Everything was digital, right? So I would be sitting here, let's say in an office in Cape Town. I would be loading a plane in Russia, or be loading a plane in Berlin, or Australia, or wherever it is, Lufthansa, wherever Lufthansa had flights that were departing, depending on the airport. So everything was just digital, it was all digital.
So what special skill is required to do that?
The requirement was actually just that you speak German. Because the training was not, it wasn't that difficult, it wasn't rocket science. Yeah.
And then learn in German?
Oh, I went to a German school.
Where?
In Namibia.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it my understanding that you grew up in Namibia?
Yes. Yeah. No, actually it was Namibia and South Africa. I only came back to Botswana when I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your parents are based?
They're still in Namibia.
They're still in Namibia?
Yeah, they've been there for over 30 years now.
Oh. Okay.
Because we moved there in 92 when my dad got a job at university that side. And then from there, that's where I started with gymnastics. And then my coach asked my parents if they can just take me to South Africa so I can continue my sporting career. Yeah, that's how I ended up in Stellenbosch. It was actually by mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then how did you start business? What led you to that?
It's actually an interesting story. I was actually, up and about in, I think, it was actually in Stellenbosch. And then I met an old school mate of mine. And, after you meet, let's say 3 years later, we graduated 2004. So I met him around 2007 when I was working at Lufthansa. And then, when you meet somebody after 3 years, hey man, how are you? What are you doing? And then he shared with me a concept called driving ads. Which
driving
is
ads?
Yes. That was the company. It was a simple concept that, you'll find stickers on the back of windows of combis or vehicles or whatever. So they use that as a medium of advertising for companies. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, this sounds like a good idea. And how I actually came to Botswana was like, I asked the guy, like, have you tried this in Botswana? I haven't seen this really that much. And then I think that sort of planted a seed in his brain, you know, my former schoolmate. And then he stewed on it for like a couple of weeks, and then he called me like, man, let's go and start this business in Botswana. And I was like, well, no, that wasn't my suggestion. I said, you go start the business. And then he convinced me, and then I quit my job, and then I came back here.
Your job in France?
Yeah.
When was this?
2007.
That's when you started business?
We actually started here in 2008, but I left Cape Town in 2007 in preparation for setting up the business here in early 2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what exactly was the business?
You know the driving aids? So they made me a partner actually. It was him and another Dutchman. They made me a partner in the business, and then he actually came to Botswana, and we actually started the business here together.
Okay, this is actually means putting up adverts.
Yes, for companies, yeah.
Okay.
On behalf of companies, and then they pay us.
Are there any particular ones that you are proud of?
Absolutely, yeah. No, we've had quite a. We ended up getting other ideas, such as, you know, the current advertising we're doing actually stemmed from that business at the time, which is the advertising on bus headrests, which is a very, I would say, it's a very effective way of advertising, considering, you know, a passenger will be sitting in a bus and looking at your advert for 10 hours on the way from here to home, with nowhere else to look. And that is the efficiency of, you know, that, you know, form of advertising. And then that's where actually the concept of Motv came from, because I thought like, okay, we can put an advert here in the seat. What would happen if we were to put a TV in the bus? Because TV advertising is much more valuable than still adverts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about KMO TV, or rather Motv, before we talk about KMO Associates.
Okay. Motv it's actually a relatively simple but complicated concept, because what complicates it is, you know, logistical operations. Anybody can think of an idea and say, okay, fine, let's put TV in buses, DVD, VCR, whatever technology they want to use. But the problem is a logistical nightmare if you want to do it on a national scale, because then now you're dealing with a lot of buses. So now if you've got, like, let's say 100 buses, for now we've got 15 that we've started with because we're self-funding this round. But we're hoping for, if we get funding, the idea is to have every single bus in Botswana with no TV on board, so that no passenger, you know, goes on a journey bored.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the name Mo?
Motv. It actually comes from KMO Conglomerate. So it's a group of companies that, you know, were envisioned 5-10 years ago.
You envisioned?
Yes.
Okay.
So Mo is just, it sounds better for television.
Tell us about the current setup for Motv.
Basically, the setup at Motv, it's technology based, right? Because imagine having to go to, let's say, 100 buses every single day. So what we figured out was, for us to get rid of this logistical nightmare, we would have to automate and we'd have to digitalize everything. And the best way to do that, and probably the only way to do that, is through IT, right? So what we did is we got some custom-made screens made in China, whereby we gave them all the specifications of what we needed in terms of, like, even operating systems and the hardware specifications as well. So having put all of that together, the screens, we call them TV screens, but they're not actually TV screens. They're actually
smaller.
No, they're 22 inches. Yeah. Right? So they're relatively big enough. Even if you're sitting in the back of a bus, it's very clearly visible. We're broadcasting 1080 in terms of resolution, so it's very, very clear, like crystal clear. It's like 1080, like it's a resolution.
It's like HD.
It is, yeah, it is. Yeah, it refers to the clarity of the picture. Yeah.
It's almost HD.
Well, 1080 is HD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to ask my production guys. They know, they deal more with these, you know, nitty-gritty details. Yeah.
So how does it make money then?
Advertising. The idea is to make money through advertising. But as well, one of the things, we're not just focusing on advertising only. There are many different revenue streams that can be sort of gleaned out of this concept. But obviously advertising is going to be the main revenue generator if you look at the concept, the way it's structured, etc.
Who is in charge of programming, and how do you decide on programming?
Well, right now, because it's a startup, right? So obviously we, as management, have to do pretty much everything. You know, like it's like a 2-3-man operation at the moment. But because of automation, right? It's possible for us to do that now. But obviously, as we grow, as we create more content, we're going to need more staff, and that's what's going to happen. Which means, at some point, even I won't even be running the company anymore. I'll be handing it over to somebody who will be like a station manager, making sure that all the content, is up to broadcasting standards. The regular old job that a station manager would be doing, like for any television station.
Okay. How many buses are involved here?
Currently, just to go back to the beginning, right? The concept was initially funded by CEDA, right? But they didn't fund the whole concept. I mean, we need a lot more money than what they gave us. But at least the money they gave us it allowed us to do a proof of concept. Because this has obviously never been done Mogobe. The way we're doing it. I mean, people have tried it, people have failed. Because they didn't understand the one key element, which is the automation, right? So they gave us, enough money. We got 10 screens. And then we were able to, sort of just run the whole proof of concept, right? And then we came to a conclusion of
10 screens, 10 buses.
Yeah, which means we had 10 buses initially, right? Unfortunately, at the time, the operating system that we got the screens in was not the best one, which was Android. We should have actually, which is what we're doing now. We've actually gone for a Windows operating system, which is a lot more malleable, easier to code, doing scripts and all of that.
Because Android is not user-friendly.
It's not. It's for cell phones. But you see, here's the thing. That's again the difference between us and, let's say, the rest of the world. Right? For a place like China, Android can actually work very well because they've got like super high internet speeds and it can work. You get. But because of the kind of environment that we have in mobiles on it was more wise for us to...
I spoke to someone via WhatsApp in China this morning, and they were saying they were in a train which was going at 300 kilometers per hour.
You see?
But I could hear them clearly, like the WhatsApp. Like
that is the technology that I'm talking about. Like, look, if we had the technology in China, Motv would have been way further than it is right now. Because obviously, let's say for instance, how Motv works is we don't even... Everything that you get on Motv, it comes from a cloud, right? And for us to upload it to a cloud, that's done from Office. And when the bus with the screen, it's got internet connectivity, right? So we're literally able to just download content straight onto the bus, and then it goes into a content management system, which then basically schedules all the content. But this is how it's going to play in the sequence, etc. And that's where the IT comes in.
Yeah, I was asking who's in charge of programming, not just the advertising.
Oh, you mean the IT side?
No, what programs are people watching? They're not just watching adverts.
No, absolutely not. You see, that's another thing. I think there is somebody that did try that route where they just put in like some screens and then they just played adverts for one company over and over and over and over and over again. And obviously that's going to bore the passengers. They're going to tell you, take the screen out, it's boring us. Which is probably what happened because it's no longer in existence. But what we figured was, okay, we can't just play adverts all day long. We need program, and we have program. There's a lot of, there's so many content producers in Botswana. We're going to be producing content as well. But obviously, even the amount of content that we need, we're not going to be able to do it all of it ourselves. And that is where now the job.
And having Mogobe nuggets of wisdom showing that.
We would have to do it in a different twist because the way you're doing it here, it serves a different audience. Now, if you're looking for a bus audience, you have to do it more informal sector. Because that is something that they can relate to more. I hope you was Tswana, but your English is too Oxford.
It's too Oxford.
Yes. What Tswana? It just depends on where you are, what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're really speaking only English or whatever, but it's the concept more that matters around your TV programming. Or is it going to be of interest to the audience to which you're broadcasting?
Okay.
You see? Which is why if you were to do, let's say, Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom on Mompoloki, I would suggest you go around checking informal.
No, I know what to do. What to do is to have the same interview but in Setswana.
And in a different location, maybe at the place of business of the vendors. That would be more interesting because that is something that most people can relate to more. Because it's either they've got a mother who's selling or they buy from these people, so they see them on a daily basis. So they relate to them a lot more. And it would be very nice to have it, let's say an interview such as this, at the place of business where these people will be operating.
Now, In terms of the concept of the business, is it to drive that an average student who's going to Francistown or a businessman is to drive them to some shop belonging to whoever is advertising? For instance, if we get some adverts from FNB,
For instance,
is it the objective to get someone to go and open an FNB account if FNB is advertising?
absolutely, but it also, like I said, it depends on the product, right? Because sometimes that's why you see corporates, they've got different kinds of adverts, because different kinds of adverts target different kinds of segments of this community. For instance, right? You'll find there are some banks they don't even deal with commercial banking. For instance, they're just into investments and whatnot, so they can't target people on a bus because that's not the target market of such banks. If you're looking at like retail industry, for instance, a retail company might come and say, okay, fine, I want to advertise on Motv. I'm just going to advertise for like a week, maybe 2 weeks, because I've got a special running for during that time. And then after that, the advert, it's moot. You get, so it just depends what a corporate entity would want to achieve with a certain advert. But the underlying factor is to drive business towards the company.
People have said, and a lot of, if we like, let's say opinion leaders have said that we don't have financial education in Botswana, or we're not taught finance at an early stage. That's why we're doing poorly and so on. Are you not thinking of introducing some form of financial education?
Absolutely.
And how are you going about that?
You see, the thing about Motv is, aside from just like, serving the corporate market and, putting their products out there, it goes beyond just commercial opportunity, right? There has to be some sort of, social change for the positive. Like you're talking about, financial literacy. A lot of that's why we don't have that. I'll give you an example, right? If you go to let's say, if you go to a court of law, right? Somebody's committed a crime, they didn't even know it was a crime. You'll find it may be very obvious to us, for instance, maybe living in the cities and whatnot. But you'll find even these laws, like let's talk about defilement, for example. A lot of people don't even know the age has been increased to 18, like a lot. That's why you still have a lot of these cases. But you get somebody like that, and they'll end up in court, right? But the law states ignorance is not an excuse. But for me, where I have a bit of a qualm with that is, if ignorance is not an excuse, then why is law not being taught in school? Basic law. I'm not talking about be it like a super lawyer type, teaching. I'm talking about just the basics of law. We don't even have that in school. We don't have basic literacy. There's so many things our education curriculum doesn't have. And we're being taught things that, when is the last time you used anything you learned in school? Except speech.
Algebra, I still want to see where I can use algebra.
Okay, do you still remember what a quadratic equation is?
Yeah, actually, the number tree.
You see, you won't remember any of that.
Quadratic equation, yeah.
You won't remember any of that.
Yeah.
Where are you going to use it in life? Kind of these things, education is about...
But I've asked that question before to an expert, and the answer given was, it teaches you how to think.
No, it teaches you what to think.
Yeah, how to think, and then some of those skills, thinking skills, working on equations, doing that, you apply without noticing in other problems in life. School teaches you how to think. For instance, somebody will do certain things and they say, that's why it's behaving like that.
Yeah, but you see,
he's never been to school.
I get what you mean, but sometimes people behave like that even having been to school. So it's not necessarily always, this or that.
No, but by and large, generally, that's why I want to engage you in that debate to say utility is that it helps you develop your problem solving skills.
It does, but
without you being consciously aware.
I agree with you. There is some sort of benefit to the education system. I'm not saying it's absolutely redundant, right? I'm saying what it could be done in a better way. Like if you go to China, for instance, a 9-year-old is busy learning Pythagoras, something that we learn here when we're 18, and we don't even learn it that well. By the time a Chinese kid is 15, he's already coded like a computer program. Do we have that in Botswana? No, we don't. Because of the education system and what we focus on. And they have a much larger population, so we shouldn't have a problem with educating such a small population. There are so many different things that I think we should incorporate in our education system.
So how does Motv out there?
What we would do as Motv, right? Like for instance, let's say things that people haven't learned in school. that's what we're going to be putting on Motv. Because for instance, right now, if you, like I swear to God, I was so shocked the other day. I read like a newspaper article, but statistically, there were like 524 primary school girls that dropped out of school due to pregnancy. Right? That's 524. I remember the figure because it's so astonishing and so heartbreaking. You get. So imagine now, what that means is 524
in 1 year.
In a calendar year.
Wow. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So now what I'm saying is things like that. We, as Motv, we want to be able to work with, let's say, Botswana Police Service, for instance, and educate people about these crimes. You get the penalties. You know what constitutes that crime, because a lot of times people do something not even knowing what they're committing a crime. You get. Public education is what we want to push as well.
So currently you have only 10 buses.
15.
15 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, those 10 we actually discarded the first.
Oh.
The first system, like we completely replaced it with the new one.
Okay.
Yeah. So now there was
TVs and
everything new, even it's more robust, more durable, more everything. And now we actually, because now we've even increased the memory on the device itself to 64 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Which means you can play as big a file as we want, and we'll still have enough space in order to be able to play content for a very long time in very high definition.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as we speak, then in an average day, how many potential customers are you exposing?
You mean passengers?
Yeah, passengers.
In this case.
Yes, yeah.
Well, a 65-seater bus going from here to Francistown, you're looking at per bus easily at least 5,000 passengers a month. Because these buses go daily.
65, how many times? Just once?
Sometimes they go and back. They do it back and forth.
Yeah, in one day.
And in the same day.
So it's 130 passengers.
It's actually more because I don't know if you've been on a bus, but you probably haven't been there in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
But if you get on a bus today, right? Like I was on a bus this very morning. I'll actually show you the video a bit later. The bus was like, I actually did a head count. There were around there were around like 45 passengers out of the 60-seater, right? There were around 15 free spaces there. But here's what happens when it leaves there, maybe with 45 passengers. By the time they hit the Paka line, it's probably full because at the time we were busy trying to fix something, on Motv in terms of like, obviously these things need maintenance and whatnot. So, like what no, because it's a long distance.
Much further.
No, but
yeah, okay.
They don't even go to the way the transport system works. You can't get a bus at Francistown and then to Habat because there is a bus dedicated to Boka.
Oh yes.
So that
no, thanks for educating me.
You haven't been on the bus in 20 years. But not your fault though. Not your fault. It's actually a good thing because it shows success. But anyways, as I was saying, by the time it's that's the last stop before it now goes into the wilderness, right? By that time it's already full. Sometimes we even have standing passengers, but by the time it's an Mahalap, there are two hotspots on the way to Francistown. That's Mahalap and Mahalap. Some of the times when I was on the buses, you'll find and then almost like half the bus disembarks at Mahalap, and then a new half comes on. Another half, what's another half on? You get. So that's how you get actually more numbers than the actual capacity of the bus because of the rotation of passengers.
Yeah.
So that means if a bus is 65-seater, it does not necessarily mean only 65 people are going to be on board. It's going to be way more than that.
My crude math says if it were only 65 and there were 15 buses and these 15 buses were doing 2 trips.
No, we calculated a 1 trip a day.
Yeah, just the 1 trip a day. It works out to quite a number, 7,800 passengers, right?
And that's daily. And that's the minimum because, like I said, it actually loads way more than the capacity itself because of rotation of passengers.
My calculator is playing up. Yeah, so the numbers can be quite large.
It can be, you can look.
So
just multiply 65 by 15.
Yeah, I'm doing that. 65 by 15 by 15. If it's just one way.
That's just one way. That's 6,500 passengers every single day.
Yeah.
And that's at a minimum. Yeah, just multiply by 1.5.
18,000.
No, just multiply by 1.5 because that is the more.
Let's start again. 65 by 130. Right?
No, 65 by 15.
Yeah.
It gives you 6,500, right?
Yeah.
Multiply that by 1.5 because that is the more the reality of the number of passengers that are actually on board.
It gives me this. Times 1.5. Thousands.
It's close to 9,000 passengers on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Multiply that by 30 days.
Yeah.
How much do you get?
So the numbers are good. And that's a captive audience.
They have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to watch
But
Motv.
some will be watching their devices.
They'll only watch their devices if you put boring content.
Yeah.
Which is what another very important aspect of Motv. We have to put very interesting content that people actually want to watch. The only reason people watch their devices is because there was nothing else to do.
Have you done a survey to indicate or to show you what sort of things Botswana are interested in watching?
Yeah, we have an idea what they want.
What do they want?
Well, you get like, you'll find that Botswana is actually a very conservative country. Even though we appear to be very liberal, but very, very conservative. So that's something that I think we need to take into consideration in terms of our broadcasting. We actually approached Bokra. We actually approached Bokra to get just to find out what is required for TV license. So they gave us a waiver because the broadcasting medium is not satellite, right? So they gave us a broadcasting waiver because they don't have the legal framework to regulate an internet broadcast.
Yes.
Right. So even Bokra was telling us, which is actually something that we know that from watching TV, right? There's certain broadcasting standards that need to be maintained. You'll find what Motv busing is not going to be 100% easy to just make sure that every single content that we put on board hits home with everyone. It's not going to happen because you've got old people, you've got young people, you've got educated people, you've got uneducated people.
Yeah.
You've got so many different, you've got a diversity of people from so many different backgrounds.
Yes.
So what we are going to do as Motv is we're going to basically broadcast content that unites people. Right? It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. There are certain things that resonate with every single
common themes.
Yes, absolutely. So that is the kind of content we'll be pushing. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Everybody loves comedy. Everybody likes to have a good life once in a while. So there's going to be a lot of comic shows on Motv to entertain Botswana, and the comedy will be done by Botswana for Botswana.
Yeah. My assumption is that if you're on the bus, it's either you are middle class poor. Is that a wrong assumption?
Not necessarily. You'll find somebody earning 30,000 pula a month. I'm assuming that's like a relatively good salary. You can survive on that.
Rich.
You are rich, like you're balling basically.
Yeah.
But you'll find somebody with that kind of a salary getting on a bus. I'll tell you why. Sometimes somebody on that salary will have like, let's say, a very gas-guzzling car like a GD6 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, if he thinks, okay, to go with a GD6 from here to Kasane, I need to spend 5,000 in petrol back and forth. But with a bus, I'll pay like 320 bucks one way, 320 bucks the other way.
Yeah.
Less than 1,000.
It's a huge saving.
It's a very big saving. So sometimes traveling with a bus is not necessarily about poverty. It's just about utility. And maybe saving money as well. And convenience, yeah. Because maybe somebody's got a car here in Gabbed. And look at Francistown and thing. They've got friends and these guys have cars, so they won't so they don't need to go with their own car. And add mileage to it.
Okay. Social impact?
Social impact, it goes back to public education. I'll give you an example, right? It's very unfortunate that CEDA funded us unbeknowingly, obviously. Nobody knew what the corona was going to hit. We got our funding in December of 2019. January 2020, the corona hit. 2 months later, all the buses were grounded.
Lockdown,
And the entire concept of Motv is based on buses. So we had to halt the entire project throughout the corona period. And then after that came the whole recovery. Nobody wants to advertise when they're in recovery, right? Marketing is always the first casualty when it comes to, a company trying to save money or trying to stay afloat.
Yes.
For instance, right? So we were the first casualty, and that's why it took us a bit of a while to get back, back into the rhythm of pushing Motv and putting it back on board. So talking about social impact, as I was telling you, another thing that we want to be doing as well. There's a lot of public education with relation to matters of health, right? Because we use digital technology. If Motv was, let's say, operational at the time of Corona, fully operational in the way that we envisioned it, right?
Yeah.
If let's say an outbreak is like, you remember the listeria outbreak that happened as it was at Durban, somewhere in the Eastern Cape, I think, killed a couple of people. If there's something like that that happens in Botswana, right? Literally, Ministry of Health can literally call us and say, Motv, we've got a crisis. There's an outbreak of a certain disease. We'll put together production within 5 minutes. 10 minutes, 20 minutes later.
Using AI.
Not necessarily using AI, just in the form of breaking news.
Yeah, okay.
It's literally like we sit here, put a presenter there, camera, that's it, roll. Hi, we've got breaking news, there's an outbreak, yada yada yada. Wash your hands, do this, avoid coughing in public, or whatever it is that the message that they want to basically disseminate, right? We can get that information out within 20 minutes. And within 20 minutes, because it's internet connectivity, every single bus, wherever it goes with the internet connection, it will be able to download that information, put it on board, and immediately people start watching that.
Yeah.
Which would have gone a very long way in terms of, like, preventing the whole, or alleviating the corona outbreak.
Yeah.
You get. And as for any other, health emergency that can occur in the future.
Okay. No, it's important about the social impact aspect. Really, you're talking about public education and awareness.
Another major social impact that Motv is going to have, right, is our plan is to prop up manufacturing industries, right? How do you create jobs? Every time you buy something coming out of South Africa, you've created a job in South Africa. But if you buy something coming out
of jobs,
probably a number of jobs. I'm just being a bit, I'm being conservative with the numbers. But you've created one job in South Africa, for example, right? If you buy something in Botswana that is made in Botswana, you're creating a job in Botswana. And I think that's one thing that we as a country need to focus on. Self-reliance. There's so many things that we can produce in Botswana. It's not like the technology does not exist for us, let's say, to make matchsticks in Botswana or to make cereal or whatever it is. You can buy these things on Alibaba. The machinery is there. You can make potato chips. You can make anything. All it needs is funding. It needs distribution, and then it needs advertising. And that way we can sustain an economy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of advertising, what would be the rates if we were to advise somebody to go for Motv? Are you able to share the rates?
Yeah, no, absolutely. At the moment, because obviously we're entering the market, we're not going to go too expensive. Basically, we're starting, like, if you're to advertise in a single bus for an entire week, we'll charge you 300 tula per bus, right? Which is like probably per week, yeah. Which is probably like the cheapest advertising rate you get anywhere.
Yeah.
In terms of hits.
So 300 times 4. That's easily 1,200 per month.
That's one bus.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yeah. But it also depends on the package, because you'll have like 2 slots or 4 slots. So if you got 4 slots, it's now 600.
So by the time you get to Francisco, how many times has your advert been shown? You
can choose either 2, 4, and we're actually considering because obviously we've been running it for a while now. I think we're gonna end up going towards the option of where people can actually get 6 slots in a day, because some of the journeys are quite long, like your Maung, your Hansi, your Charles Hill, so you'll need more slots in a trip.
Yeah. So you actually recommend to the customer, I suppose, let me re-ask that question this way. Let me ask it again. What do you say to the customer? Do you diagnose the problem and their needs, and do you make recommendations, or the customer comes with a pre-packaged deal?
It's a negotiation, basically, based on the needs of the client, right? Different clients have different needs.
Yeah.
You'll find with some clients, I'll give you an example, right? It's not easy to advertise an insurance product in 30 seconds because it requires a lot of explanation. That's why people who sell insurance need to have a certificate of proficiency, which is the COP, right? Because there's a lot of explaining. People need to understand the ramifications of whatever it is that they're choosing when it comes to insurance products, right? So for an insurance company, I would suggest, instead of just doing 30-second advert, why don't you do an infomercial? I'm sure you've seen it with Clientele Life that does with Lillian Dube and son.
Yes, I've seen it.
You see? So
the 2 Dubes.
Yeah,
the female and the male.
Yeah, one is the mother to the other.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's actually his mom.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm wrong,
yeah.
but I think she is. So like you see what I mean. So every client is a different need. Like for, let's say a retail outlet, right? Like maybe one of these chain stores, they don't need like 5 minutes to advertise their product. A simple 30-second advert is fine. Like, okay, we've got specials. Buy cooking oil for $28.95. Buy this for whatever the price is. Buy this for whatever the price is. People will see, okay, cooking oil, it's usually 42 kula, but I can now get it for like 35 at this and this outlet. They're gonna go there. You get, because they're running a special.
Okay.
So different clients have different needs.
Okay, let's talk briefly about your other business, KMO Associates.
KMO Associates, yeah.
Yeah,
It's KMO and Associates.
KMO and Associates.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that one. What does it do?
Well, basically we do business services for clients, right? Because you'll find a lot of times, sometimes even if people can just do something themselves, they just don't have the time. So number one, we'll offer that convenience to a client. You're basically doing everything for them. Because imagine a client will maybe go banking right? They want to register a company, but there's so many things involved. You have to get tax clearance. You've got to go to CIPA, do the whole CIPA registration, and then you need to go get a trade license. That's not done at local government, and that is just too much for one person to handle. So it's easy to just form it out to a consultant. There are many consultants such as these. It's easy to just form it out to a consultant, pay them, and then they get everything done for you. Because the difference between a consultant and somebody doing it themselves is the experience that comes from the consultant, because they deal with this on a daily basis. So whatever problem they encounter, it goes into a database of problems and solutions. Whereas if you're doing it yourself, you're encountering it for the first time, it's going to take you days, sometimes even weeks to just figure out how to get a solution to that problem.
It's partly company secretarial service.
It is company secretarial services. We do even business planning as well. Yeah, because obviously when you're running business for such a long time, you gain some sort of experience from it. Yeah.
And there was, of course, an aspect of it where you were helping people. I happen to know this because I'm a former landlord, where you used to help people acquire plots. Tell us about that aspect of the business.
Actually, that's one of the nicer services that we provide. Not nicer because in any way, but just nice in the sense that I think Botswana is probably one of the few, if not the only country in the world that actually still just gives land to the citizens for free. Right? If you find one of these land board tenders, right? And I like the way they did it because in the past they were giving plots to people based on, like everybody's complaining, oh, I want a plot as well, and then you give the person a plot, the plot sits there for 15 years. Nothing happens on it. Undeveloped for 15 years. What does that mean? It kills the economy. Because if you've given the plot to somebody who has the means and the know-how to develop the plot, that means something can be done on that land 15 years earlier than if you give it to somebody who doesn't know how. Right, which is what I think the approach that the government is taking, which is a very good approach. So now what they'll do is they'll say, okay, fine, give us a proposal. We've got 100 plots here. Select the plot that you want, apply for that, and then you'll be competing with people who have applied for that plot, that specific plot. And then they evaluate.
But sometimes that process just drags on and the process is cancelled. I've had one or two where we tendered and nothing came out of it.
The re-tendering one was in Palape, but I think that was because they were increasing the number of plots. Because I think maybe they realized, well, these plots are too big. If we subdivide these plots, but I think, I'm not speaking as with 100% certainty, but based on what sort of small investigation it did, it looks like that's what they were doing. I'm not 100% sure about it, right? So that's why it had to be re-tendered, because now you have different plot numbers, you have different plot sizes, you have different everything. But
what became of it?
I think it's still in progress. It's still in progress.
You helped us submit now.
Yeah, we submitted for quite a couple of clients. But the recent one that we are currently waiting for, because out of the clients that we did, Kazungula has already been awarded. Yeah, we had a client that was actually shortlisted in the Kazungula ones, and then she didn't have time to prepare for the interview, which is part of the service that we provide, and which is where the importance of a consultant comes in, because with the experience that we have, having been awarded land through this tender system ourselves, we basically have an idea what it is that a land board will be looking for. Also, it's not only about just putting together a business plan, but putting together a business plan that is well suited to the customer within their realm of possibilities, right? Because you can't take, let's say, somebody who's an architect, right? And then you're like, okay, no, he's going to run a farm. He's never grew up on a farm. He's been in the city his whole life. Went to some Ivy League school outside of Botswana, and the next day he comes back here. He can't run a farm. It's not his lifestyle. So that's part of the services that we provide. We basically advise our customers on, okay, looking at your profile, right? Looking at your skill set. This would be a very great business for you to run. You see, and that actually increases your chance of getting the plot, because even the landlord, I'm sure they're going to look at like, okay, this is a farmer. He's been farming his whole life. He's got a plan for a farm. There's a higher chance that he's going to succeed than somebody who has never farmed before. So let's rather give him the plot.
So you have your ear to the ground. When can we expect the next set of applications? Or
the recent one was Hansi land board. But I think these things were disturbed by the whole. I agree, the land boards just only recently awarded new board members. I think they appointed new members. So obviously the process has been halted pending the new board coming in. But I think now that the new board is back, the new board has been sworn in. I think now these two that are ongoing. It's a Tawana land board, and then there's one called Hansi land board that's also ongoing. But the reason, just to go back to your earlier point as to why these things take long, you'll find if you look at the number of applications that were made, they had to sift through over 10,000 applications.
Oh no, that's a lot.
That's why it takes so many months. It's not because
sure there's a hunger for land.
There is a hunger for land, absolutely. Because look, land is the means of production. Land, like if you've got land, you can get a loan from a bank. If you've got a house, you can put it as collateral, you can start a business, and you can continue to rent the house to somebody else. You'll use it to get a loan, and then you still get somebody to pay you rent.
Well, I'm in that industry. So
exactly, you know this better than I do.
So you still haven't answered what they're expecting if you have your ear to the ground as you do. What other applications or tenders are coming up?
No, I don't have any inside information if that is the question, because we basically get our information because we follow all the land boards. Like we've got Tawana land board, Chobe land board. So every time they put something up and we see it, then we advertise to our clients and say, look, there's a tender available. Come, let us help you increase your chances of getting a plot with such and such land board.
And how do you charge? Do you charge on the basis of land secured, or how do you charge?
We can't charge on the basis of land secured because we provide a service of a business plan. Whether you take the business plan to land board or to wherever.
Aren't you the ones who submit?
Well, it depends on the client and what they want. Some clients prefer to submit for themselves. Some clients are like, here, submit for us. It just depends on the client.
So how do you charge?
Well, at the going rate at the moment, we just charge like 2,000 pula for the land management plan.
Okay. So
and then obviously if we submit and all these other fringe costs that are involved, like querying as well, depending on where the land boards are.
I want to flip back to your main business, which is Motv, to ask you what challenges and setbacks you've encountered.
The biggest challenge we have is internet. Our internet connectivity is so unreliable.
In the whole country?
If you're looking at, we have a few challenges in that department. Because to a point whereby now we're actually looking to move away from internet and just create our own network.
How? Is it possible?
It can be done, with IT, anything can be done. Almost, except getting a chair to make you
I just see some politicians on the radio saying that internet is being sorted in Kutlwano with WhatsApp everywhere, blah blah blah.
No, it's sorted for not for general home use. No, the internet is fine for that. But if you go to certain uses where you need higher speeds and high reliability, we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet.
So on these 15 buses you have, how do you make sure that the viewer is not disturbed, is able to watch from start to finish?
It's all in the code that we put on the screens. We've got we've got a very, 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 very good IT person working on it.
In other words, you've been able to overcome the problem of connectivity.
We don't need connectivity on the road.
What do you need?
All we need is the TV itself. It's got built-in memory, right? So what it does is we run a script when it touches internet, it downloads new content and deletes old content, and then it puts it into the screen, and then the content management software is what now runs.
So why is internet a challenge then?
Because we need to be able to download at very high speeds. Because we're dealing with big files in gigabytes. So if you're looking at a speed of 1 Mbps or 500 kbps, which is what you usually get with these internets here, it's going to take you an hour just to download or to synchronize something.
So it delays.
It delays, and then if it doesn't complete the synchronization, that means it's going to go back with the old content.
Okay.
And that is the challenge that we have. But at least sometimes, we've got ways around that we are actually doing. But we're actually in talks with BTC as well now. We've alerted them to the problem. Guys, we need to up our internet connectivity because,
And obviously setbacks, you mentioned COVID. Were there any other setbacks beyond COVID?
Other setbacks beyond COVID? Well, it's just normal setbacks that any business would face, right? Obviously, the biggest setback that I think we face with Motv is the resistance to new ideas, right? From the market, right? I mean, a lot of clients they love the concept, right? They're like, "Well, this is such a great concept," and I'm assuming what do they think? This is such a great concept if it works. You get. I think that doubt that we have in ourselves is a really big challenge more as well, because sometimes you come up with an idea.
Doubt in your customers or
in everyone, even in society, passengers, everyone.
Why?
Because I would say Botswana is a very pessimistic nation. Very pessimistic. I don't think we don't. How can I describe it in a nice way? Yeah, no, I think we believe foreigners can do everything and we can't do anything. And that's the problem. Everything in Motv was done by Botswana. You get? And most people don't even believe.
Is that why we're always talking about foreign investors?
Exactly. Because I always hear people talk about foreign direct investment, and I think for me, foreign direct investment is one of the worst things a country can do. I'll tell you why. Because if I'm a foreign investor, I'm putting in 10 million pula, right? Let's say $10 million. What do you think I'm going to take out?
That 10 million and more.
Way more. I'm going to need to make at least 400% on my investment. That means if I put in $10 million, I need to get out $40 million. That means we gain $10 million, but we're going to lose 30. Right? How's that good for any country? Why not do domestic direct investment? We've got a lot of rich people in Botswana. Why don't rich people in Botswana pull together their resources and invest in things that need investments to keep the money in the country? For example.
Regional Network Botswana is trying to do that.
And you're doing a great job. You need to keep the money in the country, because otherwise, if you don't keep the money in the country, we're always going to be a reliant state. We'll be dependent on everybody else. We'll be creating jobs for other people elsewhere.
Yeah. So those are the setbacks. So how did you solve the funding problem, especially after SIDA? Gave you problems.
No, with SIDA, actually, it's not like they gave us problems per se. I just think it's the way it's structured, right? It's more like a bank. I mean, if you go to a bank and you owe them money, they're not going to give you more money unless you pay them back. So that was the problem with the whole COVID and the government stopping the buses, that we couldn't operate.
Yeah.
So obviously, we now owe SIDA. That means the debt accrues over months. They actually did even give us, like a payment holiday type thing.
They gave you a moratorium.
Yeah, for the whole Corona period, but obviously that elapsed after a while, because they couldn't keep that going forever, because otherwise they would be losing money as well.
Yeah.
You see, so they had to get back to operation as soon as possible, or as soon as was reasonably possible, right?
Yeah.
So it created a bit of a conundrum for us and them, because policy dictates, but you can't now come back and start looking for more money when you already owe us and you haven't made a single payment. The problem was we hadn't made a single payment, because immediately when we were funded, that's when immediately Corona came. What were we going to pay with? You
had already purchased the equipment.
It was already landed. And we had already done the proof of concept presented to them, but by the time we were supposed to start operating, that's when Corona hit, and that's when all the buses were grounded, and it just took a long time for everything to get back to normal. Yeah. So how we circumvented that, I ended up having to actually go out and get somebody to invest in the company, which is now my current partner. He's the one who funded the whole, everything you see today. Okay. Yeah. So did you sell most of the assets? No. Okay, you still the majority share? Yes. I would never. No, look, for me it's not about money. It's there's a lot more to Motv than commercial opportunity. So what did you say are the triumphs and successes so far? The fact that we're able to broadcast from a remote station. Nobody's ever done that in Botswana. Yeah, I saw that you are on BTV. Oh no, that was just an interview, because that was just an interview. People were interested in the concept, like, hey, let's put this on BTV. Yeah. So then they called us for an interview there, just to get a bit more insight of this new revolutionary concept. This is a chance to blow your trumpet, as it were.
in terms of triumphs and successes? Can you go deeper? Can you tell me more?
I think the biggest triumphs of any individual are more done in silence. There are those, what you see in public and what happens in private in terms of the triumphs, successes, failures, everything. It's like somebody once said, it takes like 15 years to become an overnight success.
Minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah.
You get, and in those 15 years, you're gonna have so many triumphs and failures, because every time you move forward in your business, or you get your business to the next level, that is a triumph. So there are all these small and little triumphs that you'll be doing month by month, right? And all these little triumphs combined can now lead up to, if you need, let's say, if you've got like, you know, you use the terminology of the Bible, for instance, when he's talking about talents, right?
Yeah.
Remember the story of the talents, where somebody was given one talent, they buried it, and then somebody was given a talent, and then he went and multiplied it. So consider every triumph as a talent, right? If you need 100 talents to start Motv successfully, right? Every single triumph that you have to get yourself towards the goal is a talent. You can get one talent today, one talent next month, one talent the month after. That's why it takes 15 years.
Yeah.
Because every time you're gathering these talents, by the time it gets to 100, now you're ready to lift off.
Yeah.
You get.
So, the other way of asking it, what would we say is the most significant achievement you're most proud of so far?
Well, in terms of Motv, I think what I'm really happy about is that we were able to perfect the concept. And I'm very happy for the way I envisioned it 10 odd years ago. Is it actually runs a lot better than I expected, a lot better than I envisioned. But it's only running a lot better than I expected and what I envisioned, because technology has obviously developed. It has advanced so much between now and then. Yeah, so that is I really like technology because it makes life so much easier.
Okay, now in terms of growth now, if you're looking 5-10 years down the line, or even 2 decades down the line, what is your ambition? What does your crystal ball tell you in terms of what we can look towards?
Well, going back to the issue of us propping up manufacturing industries, I see Motv 10 years from now in like at least 10 different African states. And we'll be advertising products that are made in Botswana to the SADC market under the African Free Trade Area Agreement, right?
Yeah.
We can take advantage of that.
Wow.
We'll provide the advertising for the Botswana products, and we'll sell them to all these other countries. They'll buy, because they'll be seeing it on television.
How do you go about doing that? Are you finding other markets?
We've actually done the legwork with regards to Zambia so far and Namibia. There is a possibility of entering those markets. It just depends on, you know, how you do it, and obviously as it comes closer to the time, that's when we'll now go deep into it and like really look into.
We're still sort of negotiations are underway.
Yeah, no, we've spoken even with buses that side. We've done quite a bit. We've even tested the market with, like, you know, the corporate sector that side.
So how many buses in Botswana? How many in Zambia? How many in South Africa?
In Zambia, there are a lot more. South Africa, there are even more. Because kind of the number of buses in a country depends on the population. Because you can't have, let's say, 1,000 buses in Botswana for a population of 2 million. That would be too much, right?
Yeah.
But Botswana's really got like what, a couple of 100,000 cars.
Yeah.
You get. So kind of the buses cater for those who don't have cars. They don't use cars often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the buses are different in the sense that people park their cars when they're going long distance. Some people.
Yeah, not all the time. I mean, all these things, like I said, it's kind of like society has got so many moving parts.
Yeah.
You cannot necessarily say one thing and that thing is just true for everything, or it's true all the time. It's true today, but tomorrow it won't be true.
That's true.
You get.
So just paint a picture about the future prospects. As you said, you're going to Zambia. What can we look forward to in terms of growth?
In terms of growth,
yeah.
I foresee Botswana becoming the next Hollywood. It can be done. We have the talent. We have everything required for us to do that.
Yeah.
And we can do it at a much cheaper price than Hollywood. Yeah. Way cheaper.
You can follow the example of Nollywood.
I don't want to follow that example.
Why?
I don't think Nollywood creates any good production.
Oh, okay.
Because all they talk about is witchcraft, stereotypes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any social value in my view. I'm sure you wouldn't be happy to see your wife watching a Nigerian movie. Am I right? Because they only talk about things that you can reserve the right to remain silent. Yeah, but you get what I mean. That's my personal opinion. I don't want to go that direction. I want to go in a direction that is going to be more international in standard. You get. So I actually saw a post on Facebook what they're like, in these Nollywood movies we'll find these really, really rich guys have got like guys at the gate opening the gate for them. But if they're so rich, why don't they just get like an electric gate? You get what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I think we need to watch out for when we're trying to copy people, right? I think it's better we do things our own way.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of employment?
We're going to create jobs in the thousands. Not just direct employment, I'm talking about associated industries.
Like?
Everything, like
positions.
Look, television is one of the biggest industries worldwide. I'm not sure if it's competing with sports or entertainment, but it's one of the biggest. It's bigger than most industries.
Yeah.
It's bigger than the diamond industry.
Well, it brought us opera in America. It brought us, quite a few big people.
Absolutely.
Tyler Perry, for instance.
You look at Forbes billionaire index, right? How many of them are involved in television?
I haven't.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
It's a big industry.
Yeah.
People with hundreds of millions of dollars, a lot of them are involved in television. Either involved directly or even indirectly, or they are propped up by television.
Yeah.
You get. But somewhere, somehow, television is involved in their wealth creation.
Okay.
Whichever way you look at it.
That's very interesting. All right, now let's conclude by you hitting me with a question, sir.
Well, the question I would ask you would be, where do you want to see Motv in 5 years?
I haven't studied the business model, but I could see it grow. And I'll just give you a generic answer to say, my hope is that you grow from strength to strength. My hope is that your ambitions are realized, and I have no reason to believe that you cannot reach those lofty goals. That's all I can say.
No, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And another thing that I think you had asked the question, but I didn't answer it to completion, right? You're talking about where I see Motv 5-10 years from now.
Yes.
Eventually, what's going to happen? We're going to be creating so much content. We're going to be able to put together a library like what Netflix does, for example. Right? Where anybody that doesn't ordinarily get on a bus, they can simply get on the internet, motv.tv, get on whatever program they want or whatever show they want, whatever comedy they want. Obviously, we're going to charge them, but it's not going to be much. Like, I mean, Netflix is like dead cheap in my opinion, right? For the variety of content that they offer, right? I mean, if you're paying like $9.99, that's like usually less than $150, right? And they've got a great catalog. So we want to go in that direction as well, to give people an opportunity to be able to watch content, because a lot of people just don't use buses at all. Like, they never come across a bus. And we need to cater for that market. So now that's where we go, internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. We wish you everything of the best.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any other dreams for KMO and Associates?
Well,
Motv.
Well, KMO and Associates, the idea, that's why it's called a conglomerate, right? The idea is all these companies are going to work together to achieve a common goal, right? And that common goal is, improving our economy.
All right. Now, time for you to look at that camera and say an uplifting, motivational message for the benefit of the viewer.
Well, being a very positive person myself, the only thing that I can say to the viewers is there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't matter how hard things get. It doesn't good if you maintain the vision, you maintain the dream, and you just keep on pushing. Eventually, something is going to give. So just don't give up on your dreams.
Well, you're a good example of that. You never give up.
I couldn't give up even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them all your contact details.
Well, contact details are simple for Motv. It's 7755-7755. If they want to get hold of us, they can check us on Facebook. All the contact details are available.
Is that a WhatsApp?
It is a WhatsApp number, yes.
77?
It's 7755 7755.
Okay, easy to remember.
Yes.
And then, what are your socials?
It's Motv.
Or for the other one?
And the other one is KMO and Associates. KMO and then N was symbol and then Associates.
On all the socials?
Well, we're on Facebook at the moment. We haven't really gotten to a stage where we want to go into Instagram and all these other.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll get there. I mean,
Yeah.
Rome was not built in a day.
Okay.
Maybe because I wasn't on site, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. You're a wonderful guest.
Thank you for having me.
You spoke well.
Thank you.
Thank you.